From our studios on Florida's Gulf Coast, this is Women of Grace Live. Join us today as we discuss issues important to your life and faith. Spiritual insight, compelling discussion, practical wisdom. Women of Grace for such a time as this. Now, here's your host, Johnnette Benkovic.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Women of Grace Live. I am Johnnette Benkovic, and I'm absolutely thrilled and delighted to be with you today, as I am Monday through Saturday, right here on EWTN Radio, brought to you by so many wonderful and magnificent affiliates, as well as Sirius XM Radio. We're also available to you in any number of ways via social media. We've got EWTN apps. We're with you through EWTN Radio's YouTube channel and Facebook page. You can text us here. You can call us here. Oh, my goodness sakes, we are abundantly available to you. And isn't that dandy? Because we love coming together in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ to have holy conversation together. And that's exactly what we do right here on Women of Grace Live. You know, you are an important part of this program. As a matter of fact, you are the whole program. And we receive your phone calls here and your questions, your comments, your insights, your inspirations, your words of encouragement, all of those kinds of good things happen to be the substance of what makes this program what this program is, an opportunity for us as the mystical body of Christ to come together, to edify one another, to lift each other up in the faith, and to make a difference in the world today. So I want to give you a couple of numbers that you can call here, 800-585-9396. That's the way that you can join us live here on Women of Grace Live if you're in North America. Now I'm going to slow those numbers down for you so you can jot them down. Don't do that if you're driving, though. 800-585-9396. If you're outside of North America, your number, country code 1-205-271-2985. That's country code 1-205-271-2985. As I mentioned to you, you can also text your question, comment, insight, inspiration, encouragement, and all of that other good stuff. You can text it to EWTN. The way that you do that is by putting in 55000. So you text EWTN to 55000. Wait for a response. When you get that response, put your name in, put your comment, question, insight, inspiration, encouragement in there, and it pops up on my board, and we're able to take it right here on Women of Grace Live. Mention to you that we're available to you via social media as well, EWTN Radio's YouTube channel, and EWTN Radio's Facebook page is available to you there. And if you go on to those two avenues of discussion and opportunity, then you can see me, and I'm waving to you right now. So I hope you're waving back. Are you waving back? I think you are. I think you are. We are excited today because we have a special guest for you. She's going to be with us right after the first break. Her name is Kristan Hawkins. She is president for Students for Life, and I'll tell you what, this woman does fabulous work. You may have seen her on broadcast television. You may have seen her on CNN, or you might have seen her on Fox News. She's out there, about there. You could have seen her via the internet on The Blaze. There's all kinds of ways in which she pops up to remind us about the cause for life and to get people of all ages, but most especially young people, college students, engaged in this process of, as their mission states, abolishing abortion in our lifetime. Oh my goodness, would that be a grand day? May it be so, Lord, may it be so. She's going to be with us following our break today, so all kinds of good things that are coming our way. So we want you to stay tuned for that. Already you might be thinking of some questions that you'll have for Kristan, because we're going to open our phone lines up for you, obviously, as well as taking your text messages and everything that you send to us via Facebook and also YouTube. And so we want to have some good questions for Kristan. I do hope that you will get in touch with us. If you've got young people in the house, you might want to gather them around so that you can hear what she has to say, especially if you've got high school students or of course, college students, too. This is something I think that's going to interest all of them, as well as ourselves, too. You know, I mean, we're really never outside of the cause of fighting against abortion, one of the hugest scourges that we have in our country today. I would say probably the fundamental scourge that we have. I think that All kinds of things flow forth from that. And of course, there's roots to abortion too, but we're going to save that for after our break. What I want to do in this first part of our program together today is to remind you about all of the fabulous stuff that goes on through Women of Grace, our apostolic work for women. Our goal is to transform the world one woman at a time. And I'll tell you what, if we can get to the women, we can end abortion. Let me tell you right now, if we can get to the women, we can end abortion. We want them to understand who they are in the eyes of God, the great sacred, holy trust that has been given to them, and the way in which we live that out through the gift of authentic femininity. That is our mission, and that is what we strive to do, and we strive to do it in all kinds of ways. What we think we need today, my dear friends, is a program for women that can restore and renew their minds according to the reality of who they are and recalibrate, if you will, their own concept of who they are, and we do this through educational means and other kinds of means too. But from the educational perspective, we want to let you know that we have a certification in Catholic women's leadership available for you. And this purpose of the Benedicta is to infuse all of the institutions of the world, to infuse all of the professions of the world, to infuse the social dynamic of our day and time, the public square, the marketplace of ideas, to infuse all of this with the truth about who woman is. If women gets it right, let me tell you, ladies, men are going to get it right too. That's a philosophical, psychological, emotional, and I would have to say theological truth. So if we get it right, they're going to get it right. It's incumbent upon us to, as our council fathers told us, to save the peace of the world. To save the peace of the world. That is the holy duty that has been entrusted to us via the council fathers at the close of the Second Vatican Council. And we can do that. I absolutely believe that we can do that. We absolutely can do that. So I want to invite you to find out how it is that you can be that woman who is the leader wherever it is that God places you. And we have this marvelous opportunity for certification in Catholic women's leadership through St. Cyril and Methodius Seminary in Orchard Lake, Michigan. And you can also, in taking those certification courses, apply them to a Master's of Theology degree in Catholic women's leadership. Can you imagine such a thing? This will abundantly enable you to exert this holy influence no matter where you are and no matter where it is that you find yourself in the will of the Father. It's going to be an amazing opportunity. I can just see it now. I hope that it's realized and realized soon. But we have to be at least willing to lay the foundation work in this moment in history so that the edifice of authentic femininity can be built up and stand strong in the culture of the day. So I don't know how God's going to use it, but I'm going to tell you what, I know He is using it, and we've seen evidence of that in so many ways. So we want to let you know that this Catholic Women's Leadership is being offered in this month. Today's June 1. Happy June 1. Happy June to you. It's going to be beginning June the 19th, running through the end of this month. It's a 2-week session. You can take the first week or the second week, or you can take both weeks. Dr. Monica Miller, who was with us yesterday, is presenting in that first week. She's going to be talking about Toward a Catholic Understanding of Woman. Father Deacon Josh Gainig is going to be also teaching a course. If you've already taken Monica's course, you can take his course, and his course is going to be looking at leadership, women's leadership from the Old Testament through the New and on into contemporary times. We're also, the second week, blessed to have with us Father Mitch Pacwa, who is going to be presenting on Toward an Understanding of Catholic Social Doctrine. Now, these are magnificent courses, and they're available to you. We want to get you out there to join us June the 19th. It's not too late to sign up. It will be after June 9th, but it's not right now. So if the Holy Spirit is prompting you, get out there to our website, womenofgrace.com. Take a look at what's available for you there. You do that by going to the homepage there. You're going to see that as an event listed. It's the first event listed right there, halfway down that homepage. On the left-hand side, click. It gives you information. You'll come to that landing page, and then there will be an opportunity, big lavender, lovely lavender shade, as I might say, lovely lavender shade button that you click on. And you can get out there. All of the course descriptions are there for you. It gives you all kinds of good information. You can also call us at 800-558-5452. That is not the number for the radio. That is Women of Grace's 800 number. It's 800-558-5452. 5452, and we can answer some questions for you if you have additional questions. You can also get in touch with Father Deacon Josh Gainig, who helps us at St. Cyril and Methodius. He is our partner with us in that there. So he's available to you. We just want to get you signed up, because I'll tell you, it's a big, big mission, and Kristan's going to be talking with us all about that as well. So we want you to get out there, see what's going on in Women of Grace land, and that's www.womenofgrace.com. I'll tell you what we're going to do right now. I'm going to give you the numbers. I'm going to tell you how you can join us today. Then we're going to go to a break. Then we're going to come back. Then Kristan's going to be with us, and it's going to be a fabulous opportunity for us to come together to continue to explore, the great call and mission that is ours to transform this world. Amen? Amen. So suit up. We're going to be back. First, let me give you the numbers. 800-585-9396 if you're in North America. 800-585-9396. If you're outside of North America, it is country code 1-205-271-2985, country code 1-205-271-2985. For those of you outside of the United States of America and Canada, I want to let you know that this Benedictine Leadership Institute for Women is international. So you can join us too. Just make the plans. Come and join us. You can also text us here at EWTN at 255-000. Text EWTN to 55000. Wait for the response. Put your name in and your question, comment, insight, inspiration, or word of encouragement, and it pops up on my screen. We're available to you through EWTN Radio's YouTube channel and Facebook page, too. So we're going to go to that break. When we come back, our guest, Kristan Hawkins, is going to be with us. You stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Cy Kellett. Join me for a show dedicated to Catholic apologetics and evangelization as we connect viewers to prominent leaders in the church today and touch on just about everything relating to the church, from doctrinal issues to family concerns, social issues, evangelization, ethics, you name it.
Catholic Answers Live TV, Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern on EWTN Television.
The Holy Father's prayer intention for the month of June is that national leaders may firmly commit themselves to ending the arms trade, which victimizes so many innocent people.
June 1st, Feast of St. Justin Martyr. St. Justin Martyr wrote, "The food that has been made the Eucharist by the prayer of His Word, and which nourishes our flesh and blood by assimilation, is both the flesh and blood of that Jesus who was made flesh." Let us reflect. When have I experienced or witnessed the healing effects of the Eucharist, physically or spiritually? What is my response to Christ this day for the great gift He has given to me through His Eucharistic presence?
If you'd like to receive a daily Grace Line by email, go to womenofgrace.com and click on the word Grace Line, and then check the box Receive Grace Lines. That's womenofgrace.com.
This is Bishop William Medley of the Diocese of Owensboro.
This is Al Kresta, host of Kresta in the Afternoon.
Hi, I'm Archbishop William Laurie, the Archbishop of Baltimore, and you're listening to EWTN Radio.
Welcome back, friends. You're listening to Women of Grace Live. I'm Johnnette Benkovic, and I'm very, very happy to be with you today. We love spending this time with you. When we were going to the break there, I was telling you that we were going to come back, and we were going to be with our guest today, Kristan Hawkins. I'm going to introduce you to her in just a moment, but I certainly do want to remind you that we are available to you right here. We're looking forward to your questions, your comments for myself or for our guest today or for both of us. So let me give you a couple of numbers that you can use so it is that you can join us live here on Women of Grace Live. All you have to do is pick up the phone and dial one of these two numbers. If you're in North America, 800-585-9396. If you're outside of North America, country code 1-205-271-2985. You can also text us here at EWTN to 55000. That's 55000. Additionally, we're available to you via EWTN Radio's YouTube channel and EWTN Radio's Facebook page. All kinds of ways that you can join us. We take your questions. If you're with us via social media, they pop up on my board. Your text messages also pop up on the board. Obviously, the phone calls we take right here. So we certainly do want to invite you to be part of our discussion today. So Kristan Hawkins, let me just say that I first met Kristan at the World Meeting of Families that took place when the Holy Father was here in Philadelphia a couple of years back. And I was so impressed by her vivacity. I was impressed by the fact that she certainly brings to the discussion of abortion a zest and an energy, I would have to say a holy zeal, to do exactly what the mission of Students for Life of America states that it wants to do, and that is to abolish abortion in our lifetime. And she's done marvelous things through Students for Life. She came aboard there in 2006. She's been leading it ever since. She is president of this vast organization. As I mentioned to you, she's been on just about any kind of news program that you can think of. She's been on Fox News, CNN, MSNBC. She's been on EWTN. She's been on Family Talk with James Dobson. She's been on the Christian Broadcasting Network as well. She's a frequent blogger. She's out there, published author. Courageous is available for you out there at most booksellers. She also is known for her work leading the successful 2009 Stop the Abortion Mandate Coalition. That brought together over 70 pro-life and pro-family leaders in a national coalition dedicated to stopping government funding of abortion and healthcare reform. And may we experience such a thing. May we experience such a thing, being made possible for us in this particular moment in the history of man. That would be a wonderful thing for the United States of America. So without further ado, I do want to introduce you to Kristan. You can see her right there if you're with us via social media. If you're there on EWTN Radio's Facebook page or EWTN Radio's YouTube channel, you can see me in the screen, and you can see Kristan there in studio. She's on campus at EWTN. Kristan, welcome to Women of Grace Live. It's great to have you with us.
Thanks for having me today.
Oh, well, it's our pleasure. And tell us now, what are you doing up there at EWTN?
Well, this afternoon, I'll be on Joy and Jim's show at 1 p.m. Central.
Yes. Oh, that's exciting. So we want all of you to be sure to tune in at 1 p.m. Central Time. I guess that's 2 p.m. Eastern Time for this beautiful opportunity to see Joy and Jim interviewing Kristan. But we got her first right here on radio, right? Yeah. So we're getting you fresh in the day. You know, the work that you do, Kristan, is really, really quite amazing. And you have a dynamic that works in you, that is able to get so many things done. I think it has to be the power of the Holy Spirit. So why don't you share with us a little bit about what it is that you do through Students for Life?
Sure. Well, our mission is simple, but very difficult. It's to abolish abortion, and it's to do that through this generation. Yes. We know that young people are the ones that form culture, and if we're serious about making sure abortion is illegal and unthinkable in our nation, that means we have to win over young people. We have to change the way they think about abortion. We have to, rid the demand for abortion, and that's going right where students are, and that's why we started going onto college campuses about 11 years ago, right where students are forming their opinions about abortion, right where their Christian worldview is being challenged, right where the abortion industry targets for business. And so we started going to campuses, launching Students for Life groups, and then those groups stay active on their campus. So they do educational events to talk about abortion, how abortion affects not only the child and kills the child, but also harms the mother. We do a lot of work on campuses to change the environment so that no woman has to feel like she has to choose between continuing her education and the life of her child. And so we work with right now over 1,200 groups. We're on college campuses and also high school campuses. A little bit, we just launched this year into middle schools. We have a few groups in law and med schools across the country. And really, we want to be everywhere the abortion industry is. And that's why we launched our middle school program. That's why we launched our high school program a couple years ago, because Planned Parenthood is already there.
That's right. You're right about that, Kristan. And I'll tell you what, I'd love to talk with you at length sometime about our Young Women of Grace program, which might be a very nice corollary, a complement to the work that you're doing there. Because, it's our belief through Women of Grace that if we change if we help
women to change their knowledge of who they are, to give them true knowledge about who they are, we're going to see this abortion thing end. And I have a Jim out there, that's with us via EWTN Radio's YouTube channel, and he's saying, well, is Women of Grace for men too? Of course it is, because this is a battle that we face in our culture today, helping all of us to come to a deeper understanding of who we are as persons, and that's what is at the heart of this issue. And so as you go out there and you go around the country, do you see what is the corollary between men and women that are involved in Students for Life? Do you see as many men involved as you do women involved?
It depends. A lot of our campuses are probably 60-40 women to men. Our national conference, which is, 2,500 young people every year in Washington and then in San Francisco, it's probably around the same 60-40 or 70-30. We actually do have a challenge sometimes in some of our campuses of getting young men to get involved. It's historically, you'll see, with the older generation, so my parents' generation, my grandparents' generation, it's pretty evenly split. When I go and speak at pregnancy center banquets or Right to Life events across the country, it seems to be evenly split. The younger generation, it does tend to be more female dominated, and I think that's really the result of young men being told by their pro-choice mothers that they don't really have a say in this and that they shouldn't say anything. And so we're actually the ones on campuses saying, no, you need to be speaking up, young men, because, when you look at the Guttmacher stats of why women have abortions, and, Guttmacher Institute is Planned Parenthood's research arm. One of the biggest predictors of whether or not she'll choose abortion is her partner's support. And so the man, the father, has such an important role in this. And so we've got to be telling our young men, no, you do have a voice in this.
Yes. Absolutely. And, I think it's part of their masculine charism, Kristan, to be protector, provider, and leader.
And that's what abortion kind of takes away from them.
Well, you're right about that. And so this is why I say that this problem, is really at the heart and is at the root of how it is that women see themselves. When you said that about the moms, I couldn't help but think to myself, if mom has this what would I say, socially manufactured idea of who woman is, that this is a right, that it's her body. And of course, we all know that abortion has very little to do with the woman's body. Right. It has everything to do with the child's body that's growing within her, that is going to be mutilated or poisoned or burned to death, right? If in fact that is the case, then this notion that you're raising your son with this false construct continues to proliferate the problem.
That's right.
And so I'm so happy that you're working with the young men. I'm so happy that you're taking this down through the grade levels, from college on down, to make this big difference. What would you say are some of the big obstacles that you run across with regard to getting this information out there and also being accepted into the marketplace of ideas and into school systems and college campuses?
Well, we definitely face administration backlash. I've got 3 free speech issues right now. We just settled a lawsuit in Colorado this week. We've got a lawsuit pending in California, another one probably on the way in Pennsylvania, where administrations just flat out deny a Students for Life group the right to exist, or deny them student funding as other groups, or have, Fresno State in California, for example, the professor was actually out there vandalizing the Students for Life group's display himself and encouraging his students to do that. So we definitely face those sorts of, opposition, administration opposition issues. Right. On campuses, when we're there, we're hosting tours. We do face a lot of, I would say, protest or backlash, and it's usually from the, administration, professors on campus. It's not a lot of the students. Right now, because of the political environment, how things have changed since November of last year.
Yes. Our moment of opportunity.
It's definitely a huge opportunity for us, but it's also really galvanized the other side. Previous years, Planned Parenthood would boast of about 200 Planned Parenthood, pro-Planned Parenthood groups on campuses. Their annual report finally just came out, 6 months late, and now they're boasting of having 300 groups. And so the other side is getting more active on campuses. We face a lot of challenges of just getting in with the health centers on campus, so they'll refer women to a pregnancy resource center and not just refer her to Planned Parenthood. And a lot of times it's just also just fighting apathy in general. And we have a challenge of worldviews and how these students have come to campus. Their worldview has been challenged, and they don't actually believe in truth anymore.
No.
And so we can get them to acknowledge that a human being in the womb has human rights, that he or she is a human being, and then we'll have students say, well, yeah, but it still should be killed. And it's this separation of humanness from personhood, and it becomes more of a philosophical or theological debate there on campuses. So we have a lot of challenges. We are winning. That's the good news. We're definitely outpacing the other side. Abortions are down. Abortion facilities are shutting down left and right. We have passed more pro-life legislation in the past 10 years than previously in the whole pro-life movement. Polls are trending our way, are showing that the tide is with us, but we definitely have a lot of uphill challenges.
Well, you do, but I think there's good news in the midst of all of what you're saying here, because I live here in Florida, and we have these little lizards that run around. They're very cute. In South Florida, they're very big lizards. They're not so cute. But these little lizards that run around, sometimes they come in the house. I never chase them out of the house because they're very good for us. They eat other kinds of bugs. All of that being said, if you step on the head of a serpent, you step on the head of a lizard, what happens? The tail thrashes. Yep. And so it mounts a great big defensive. Right. And I think that's what you're seeing with Planned Parenthood.
That's right.
Obviously, they're scared. Their head is being smited, right?
Yep.
And so as a result of that, they're thrashing about there,
That's exactly
so,
right.
Yeah, so you're making real progress. If there's no backlash,
Sure.
the battle's already been won by the other side. So this is a very good sign. I think that what you're doing here is you're challenging young people to do something that they're really not taught to do too much anymore, unless they're in a liberal arts program, and then we have to be a little concerned based on where the campus is. And that is to think.
Yeah.
When you say it's a philosophical and theological issue, it is that. And I do want to comment on this, Kristan, because you're so right on this. That the fact of the matter is, it could be a human person, but it doesn't matter. It needs to be killed anyway. To me, it's because that human person is invisible. Mm-hmm. We don't have a window into the womb. You can't look and watch that baby developing, through the woman's anatomy. You can't see it straight up. So if you can't see it, it's not real. And this is a type of materialism that's taken hold of our cultural mindset, where anything invisible doesn't matter. It's only what matters in matter that matters,
Yep, that's right.
And so we have to try to challenge them, as you're doing, to think beyond, to use the good intellect that God's entrusted to them, to strive for higher ideals. Otherwise, I'll tell you, human flourishing, which we've seen happening, will diminish. I've got a question on here. I want to ask you this. I have somebody whose name here is Chile Expat Family, and they're in Chile. And he says, do you have a foreign outreach to people who do not speak English? We found that the U.S. government is pushing abortion through the UN here in Chile. And yes, we know that this is something that's been happening. We've been exporting abortion through foreign aid programs here in the United States for decades, really.
That's exactly right. We actually had a meeting this Tuesday with a young lady who lives in Geneva about our international program. We do have outreach. We can work with anyone. What we've done so far is we kind of just give our resources freely to pro-lifers in other countries across the globe, and they're free to translate our materials, take our model. We're actually in the beginning stages of planning an international conference to try to bring together the youth pro-life leaders from across the world and kind of sit down. Everything, every country is different. Every ethnicity has, their own challenges. And so there's not really a one-step approach here that fits everyone. But there are some things that we've learned in the past 11 years that I think we can help other countries. So you can reach out to us. You can just email us at info@studentsforlife.org, and we can get you connected with our international outreach director.
Oh, that's wonderful. So Chile Expat Family, Kristan's told you how to do it. Get in touch with them, see what's available to you, and let's see if you can't begin to make a difference right where you are. And this is the thing too, isn't it, Kristan? It's not the job and duty and responsibility of a given organization to do all of this on their own. It takes the foot soldiers in the field that's picking up the material that's available, picking up that mission, and making it effective right where they are.
That's right. And it's something that I think a lot of people look at the global issue of abortion and think it's too big of a problem. It's too great of a problem. What can I make? And I think that's one of the things that we really try to challenge our students on, is that you can make a difference. Everyone can make a difference. Get involved right where you live.
That's right. And that's it. And that's what we want to tell all of you. Get involved right where you are. Sometimes we think that unless we're part of some big major organization that, we can't do anything. That is not true. And we've seen that, haven't we? We've seen it from the other side. We've seen how we have been under this scourge of terrorism recently, right? Well, what if we were to make ourselves available in the marketplace with ideas that lift up the human person? What if we were making ourselves apparent in obvious ways for the good? Where sin abounds, where evil abounds, grace abounds greater. You're called to be part of that greater effort of grace. So ask the Lord, ask the Holy Spirit to show you how it is that you can engage right where you are. Our guest today is Kristan Hawkins. She is with us. She is the president of Students for Life of America.
Check out EWTN's official YouTube channel. Just follow the link on our homepage at EWTN.com or go to YouTube.com/EWTN.
Watch EWTN's live shows or today's homily from the Daily Mass.
Click the upload button to see our most recent clips.
You can also find all of EWTN YouTube content by clicking the playlist button.
It's all on the official EWTN YouTube channel at youtube.com/EWTN. Visit today.
Christ is the answer, with Father John Riccardo.
John chapter 8, verse 51. Jesus is in a discussion with some of the leaders of the Jews. They're talking about Abraham. Abraham lived 1,500 years before the time of Jesus. So in the course of the discussion, Jesus says, "Truly, truly, I say to you, if anyone keeps my word, he will never see death." He says that often in the Gospels. "He who keeps my word or believes in me will never die." To which the Jews say, "Now we know you have a demon." And they say, "Abraham died, as did the prophets. All the patriarchs, the great men and women of the history of Israel. All these people died, and you say, if anyone keeps my word, he will never taste death? Are you greater than our father Abraham, who died? And the prophets who died?" And Jesus says, "Your father Abraham rejoiced that he was to see my day. He saw it and was glad." To which the Jews say, "You are not yet 50 years old, and you've seen Abraham?" And Jesus answers, "Truly, truly, I say to you, before Abraham was, I am."
Hi, I'm Johnnette Benkovic. The world needs valiant women. The Women of Grace Benedicta Leadership Institute for Women at St. Cyril and Methodius Seminary, located in Orchard Lake, Michigan, seeks to train Catholic women to be active leaders and mentors for our day. The first of its kind, this program provides qualified applicants the opportunity to acquire a certification or graduate credit hours in Catholic women's leadership. Summer course information is available at benedicta.womenofgrace.com. Welcome back, friends. You're listening to Women of Grace Live. I'm Johnnette Benkovic. Very delighted to have you with us today. Want to give you a couple of numbers that you can use to give us a call here. Our guest today is Kristan Hawkins. She is president of Students for Life of America. She's talking with us about the work that they do, the need for that work, how we can become involved in that work, and what we can do to support that work. And I guess I want to tell you the first thing that we can do is pray. But I want to give you some information by which you can join us here so that you can get your answers, your questions answered by Kristan. If you're in North America, your number is 800-585-9396. It's 800-585-9396. If you're outside of North America, your number is country code 1205-271-2985. You can text EWTN to 55000. And in addition to that, you can also join us via EWTN Radio's Facebook page and YouTube channel. I've got a couple of comments here, Kristan, that I'm going to read from the Facebook page. Ann Brenna Gerard says, "This is another topic that relates to my book." Okay, this is a personal message to me here. We don't need to get into that one right now, but Ann, yes, we'll be talking. And then Clara Sullivan, Johnnette, you were so right. We live live in a world where if something cannot be seen or proven, then it's not real. It's incredibly sad. Phyllis Deeves, Trent Horn's Persuasive Pro-Life is a great source to talk about this issue. And Badavini Capa Gonzalez, she says, in my country, Ecuador, we celebrate the Day of the Child. These children in the womb of their mothers have the right to be respected. Come, Holy Spirit. And then another comment for you, Kristan, that you're doing a fantastic job. And I will echo that and say yay and give my 2 cents worth on that one as well. So we're happy that you're all with us today. We're happy that you're interested in this topic and that you're being involved with us. Do call us here at 800-585-9396. We do have a question out here for you, Kristan, and this comes from a caller in North Olmsted and Ohio, Teresa, listening to us via the Rock. She says, how do I get lay ministers in the church to not tell people abortion is okay? You see, this is how far this horrible negative ideology has penetrated into the minds of Americans.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that, we actually launched a church captain program last summer just for a lot of our supporters who were writing in saying, I've prayed, I've donated, what more can I do? And we've taken a lot of the activities, the educational resources that we've developed for campuses, and we give them freely to folks in different parishes across the country to bring up this issue. Once a month, go to your pastor, go to your priest, and ask them, will you mention this in a homily? Will you talk about post-abortion healing? Will you talk about, this election coming up or funding for Planned Parenthood, and then having resources to put in a vestibule somewhere outside of the sanctuary, postcards, things that people can pick up and get involved. For a lot of, what we've seen, especially in the Protestant churches, is there's really a lack of formation in the Bible schools across the country. No, the youth pastors graduate, the pastors graduate, and they've never once been taught how to talk about this issue. And so it's not that they're not pro-life, but a lot of times they're afraid. I'm afraid to say this because I know that there's probably post-abortion women in my parish, and I don't know how to address them, and I don't want to hurt them. And so we've got to do a better job of, us meeting with our clergymen of saying, hey, we think you should bring this up, and here are some tips, here are some ways you can bring up this issue with grace and with mercy, but it's important that we speak out about this, because if Christians would refuse to have abortions, if Christians would refuse to support politicians who support the abortion industry, there would not be abortions. Over half of women who obtain abortions say that they self-identify as Christians. More than 40% of women who obtain abortions say they are regular church attendees. This is a Christian problem.
Yes, it is. I couldn't agree with you more. And, again, we can lament the problem. I'm thinking back to John Paul II, Christi Fidelis Laici. I think he wrote that in 1981. And he says that what we need to do is to mend the Christian fabric of society. And he's so right. And that's what this new evangelization is about, because we are to be the salt. We're to be the light. We're to be the leaven. And when we don't do what we're supposed to be doing, when we fall victim to the ideologies of the day and time, when we conform ourselves to this age rather than transforming it, we become part of the problem rather than part of the solution. Right. And so we do need to get to this. And I was just thinking, Kristan, as you were talking about your initiative there in the parishes, if we could get the priest, sometimes we've got to pray for our priests to be men. And by that I mean to be brave.
That's right.
And to step into those masculine charisms through their priesthood of protection, provision, and leadership. However, that being said, I think that there's been this softening of the masculine sensitivity towards that, and they're afraid to come in because they don't want to hurt people. This false understanding of compassion. But even if we can get the priest to allow us to bring in a speaker who can address the population,
That's a great point.
He is there present.
Yep.
He's visible at the event. It makes a statement to the people.
That's right. That's a great suggestion, and that's something that, But I think the challenge is it's up to us to do it. We have to be the ones. We can't just sit here and complain and lament. We have to be kind of the rebel rousers and be the activists and view ourselves as activists and willing to take action here.
Yes. You're right. This is the time of the laity, and we've got to be those men and women who stand in the gap and are willing to take it on the chin. Take it on the chin. John Paul II says, even if it costs us our lives. So it is something that we have to do. Our Chile expat YouTube person who is with us says that this battle, it's like Roe v. Wade going on in Chile right now. He says they've been a totally pro-life country. Sure. And he's saying it would be great to coordinate a conference there to help people understand. And he's asking if we think, or she, I don't know if it's a man or a woman, real men listen and watch Women of Grace, in case you guys were wondering. He says, do you think it's time, and this is a good question for you, Kristan. He says, Johnnette, do you think that it is time for families to look at whether they should send their children to the higher education liberal mill? What do we do about these universities as parents? How do we select a good university for our children?
That's a really difficult question, and this is something that I get asked every year, usually around Christmas time, after children have come home from college for that Thanksgiving break, and then the parents and grandparents email me and say, what happened to my kid?
Right.
And I think that's a really good question, and it's a difficult challenge of you want to instill in your child a Christian worldview, and you have to lead by example. But then, all of your work over 18 years can be erased in about 3 short months. And I think I don't think the challenge is withdrawing them from society. I went to a public high school. I went to a very, very liberal college, and it actually helps me because I thrived in that environment. It challenged me to I had to research. I had to learn more about my faith. I had to learn more about my convictions to defend myself. I don't think every child's like that. I think that's kind of a case-by-case thing that the parents need to decide of what environment will my child thrive in. Will they grow here? So I don't think the solution is, now this is coming from a homeschooling mom. I don't think the it's actually my husband. He does the homeschooling. He's the real man. But this isn't something where I don't think we have to withdraw. I think that's one of the things that we challenge our students of. Don't withdraw, into your little Students for Life group on your campus. Your mission is to go out.
Right.
You just can't let the world change you. And you have to, be willing to show your light. So I think it's something that parents need to consider. I think it's something that these are the conversations you need to have with your children, though. You can't kind of outsource these conversations to church or to school. Like, you need to be having conversations about, what is femininity? What is sex? Why? You have to have these conversations. Yes. I think a lot of us try to kind of hope somebody else takes on these harder conversations with our children, but we have to be the ones, and we have to show them. I talk with my son. He's 8. We had our first conversation about sex the other day. He overheard my husband and I talking about a case we were working with Students for Life, and we had to make it age appropriate, of course, but it was a difficult conversation, and I was kind of blushing the whole time, and my husband was trying to get through it, but it was good because he was able to ask questions, and now we'll be able to have a longer term discussion, and we're able to talk about this issue, and add more age appropriate things as those things come up. So
I think that you're right on all points. I really do. I was thinking to myself of a story that I heard from someone who was in the Holy Land and has Palestinian Christian friends there, and the woman said that every day she prepares her son for death. Because when she sends him off, she doesn't know if she'll see him again, and she doesn't know if he'll return. Now, what a horrible thing for a woman to have to endure, and for a child to have to endure. But in a certain sense, there is a parallel to that. We have got to realize that every time, we are with our children, we've got to make use of that opportunity to prepare them to go out into a world that can bring death to their soul, that can bring death to their faith, that can bring death-filled ideologies and concepts to their minds. And so if we are taking advantage of the opportunities at home, we spend those 18 years raising our children and not shirking from the duty and responsibility of talking about the very hardcore issues. And we send them off. At some point, they're going to go out into the world. If we send them off to university, and we've done the best that we can do to prepare them to go into
particular milieu, then the fact of the matter is we can watch them make a difference. It doesn't mean that they might not get battle scarred and wearied. And it might not be that, for a little period of time, maybe they veer off. But that which we've given them will hold them in good stead. We've got to allow them to be salt, light, and leaven at age-appropriate moments in time. So I think that you've answered that very, very well, and I think that gives hope to all parents listening today. We have Marianne, Youngsville, North Carolina, with us, listening on Divine Mercy Radio. Good morning, Marianne. How are you? Is Marianne with us live?
Oh, this is Marianne. Hello.
Hi, sweetie. How are you today?
Oh, fine, Johnnette. Thank you for what you do. Thank you, Kristan, for what you do.
Thank you.
May you best be blessed. I just wanted to say thank you and mention that as I was listening to you, my 23-year-old was listening to NPR, and an abortionist go on and on about how he feels he's a good Samaritan.
Oh, yeah.
And he's providing a good, a service to women by being that good Samaritan. And she called me right away after it, and I was so grateful because it's what you just said, Johnnette, is constantly having those conversations and keeping them in the loop that, you're not going crazy, and yes, you want to be courageous. You want to joan up, and it's just try and, stay in the battle and come out the other end. So.
Well, how interesting that you, Marianne, are experiencing the dichotomy that Kristan and I are talking about right at this very moment. I have goosebumps.
Right. It was pretty amazing because I told her what you all were talking about as she was on her way to work. So, again, thank you for what you do.
Wow. Well, Kristan, how do you respond? What do we do about this?
Well, I'd say first stop listening to NPR. That's the first thing I would say to my daughter.
I'm applauding. I hope you all can hear me.
Yeah, I mean, these are conversations we have to have. The abortionist that they're talking about is Dr. Willie Parker. He's down in, I think, Mississippi. He's been giving a lecture tour on, Christian campuses across the country, talking about how he is a Christian abortionist, and he commits abortions because he's a Christian. I think I'm going to have an opportunity to debate him on TV here in a couple of months.
I hope so.
So I'm preparing. I've got to read his book and try to get through that. But yeah,
we'll pray for you.
Yes, I'm going to need lots of prayers. Prayers that I'm calm and I represent Christ in all things. I have a really hard time with that sometimes. I think when that's a perfect example.
He never minced the truth, Kristan. Yeah, Christ never minced the truth, honey.
That's true. Yes. No, I think that was a perfect example, though. The daughter was listening to NPR. She heard this abortionist, and she called her mom to discuss it. What a great opportunity. And even if your child, might say something that is not what you were hoping they would say, use the opportunity to have the discussion. Don't shut down the discussion. I mean, that's what we face on college campuses all the time from the other side politically, right? Where they refuse to even engage in the discussion and call us names and all those things. Have the discussion. Even if your child is kind of veering off the path, don't shut down the conversation with them. Keep it respectful. Keep talking to them about it because they're listening to you. You may not, this is what we tell our students. You have to consider every time you're talking with someone on campus, you're planting a seed of truth. And you don't know, a priest told me this a few years ago in Seattle because I was complaining about, we spoke with all these kids at the University of Washington, Seattle, and who knows how much of a difference he made. And he said, how many seeds of truth did you plant? And he asked, he said, you don't know when that seed's going to be watered, who's going to come along in that person's life to water that seed. But that's your goal when you have that conversation. It shouldn't be, I'm going to change this person's heart and mind right now, because let's face it, human ego doesn't let us admit when we're wrong to someone. It's very rare someone will say, oh my goodness, you were completely right, I've been completely wrong. It's you've planted a seed of truth in their mind and in their heart, and when they're reflecting on the conversation, you hope that they start thinking about that.
Yeah, that's excellent. And that's, sometimes, we read that. Sometimes it's just our job to plant the seed. Somebody will come along, somebody will water, somebody will harvest. But we have a part to play, and that's the point. We all have a part to play. Do want to mention that Take Two follows us today, friends, and their topic is I've walked in your shoes. And maybe some of you are listening today and you're saying, gee, that topic fits this very, very well. Somebody might be with us today, Kristan, who's had an abortion and might want to share that experience
experience right there on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. So we want you to get out there. Also want to remind you about EWTN Classics. What a great way to listen to great teaching. Mother Angelica, Father Benedict Rochelle, Patrick Madrid, available for you on the EWTN app or by going out to EWTN.com and choosing that. And you can listen to all of these great programs from the past. That's why they're called classics. All right, we've got Rory Mitchell with us via EWTN's YouTube channel. And she's asking, or he's asking, I'd like to ask, what is the best way to refute the clump of cells argument that pro-choicers use?
Hashtag science. Yes, you hear that a lot on campuses. I think one of the things we say is, well, first of all of us are made up of cells. And we need to look at biology. And sometimes I'll pull out my phone and I'll just Google. I'll Google embryo. I'll Google preborn child, and I'll show them pictures of the child, because it's they want to keep it kind of hidden. It's what you were saying earlier, Johnnette, about lacking that window to the womb. Of if they think of it as just a clump, the child is just like a little clump of cells, a little clump of tissue. It's easier for them to, in their mind, reconcile being okay with abortion, or saying that they're okay with other people choosing abortion. I think the easiest thing is just to show them the child in the womb. Bring up a 3D, 4D ultrasound. Say, hey, you know what? My niece, her parents put up the YouTube of her 4D ultrasound. You want to watch it with me? And it totally refutes the clump of cells. And you don't have to get into a biological discussion. I mean, you can start reciting facts of this is when the heartbeat begins. This is when brain waves have been detected. This is when finger and toes are formed. I think a lot of times it's just showing them the picture and say, yeah, the baby is a clump of cells, just like I'm a clump of cells. But does that tell you that child no longer has the right to live? And is that we all know that child is a human being, right? That the child has a human mother, a human father, so therefore the child has to be human. It's the law of biogenesis. We're human. What makes us different than that child in the womb? And what tells us that we have more rights, or who tells us that we have more rights than that child in the womb? And I think it kind of gets that discussion, because that's really what you're getting to. And all these discussions about it's a clump of cells, it's a clump of tissue, it's nothing. It's all about the rights of the child, because everyone will have to admit that it's a human being. And this human being has its own DNA that's never before existed, that will never exist again. The challenge is, does that human being have the same rights as we do to live?
Yeah. Interestingly enough, as we're talking about that issue, I came across, I love to collect quotes, and I love to read good quotes. And this quote came up on a secular site. And the quote is by John Henry Newman, which I was happy to see. But it says this: growth is the only evidence of life. So, the fact that we see a cell growing, we're seeing multiplication of cells, we know that it's life.
That's right.
So what kind of life is it? It's not a tree growing in a woman's womb, it's a human person that's growing there. So I was happy to see it, and I wondered if the person, who puts those quotes up, in what comes into my mailbox, even thought about that, considering that at some points in time, that some of the quotes that come up there are not at all geared in that direction. And it just shows the really craziness of the time in which we live, where we try to hold these unharmonious thoughts in our head all at the same time. We have somebody out here who's saying, let me just see this. I kind of forgot. Oh, yeah. Michael Morvan, who's with us just about every single day out here on EWTN Radio's YouTube channel, says that NPR stands for Never Promote Reality. He's one of those
good
real
one.
Men that listen all the time
Good
to
one.
Women of Grace, and it's a very, very good one. Why don't you give us we've just got 2 minutes left in the program here, Kristan. We could go on and on with questions, but I think it would be very good to tell us a little bit about how it is that we can become involved in Students for Life, even though we might not have a college-age student that's on campus somewhere.
Yeah, you can go to our website. It's studentsforlife.org. We have different web pages for people, pro-lifers of all ages. So if you are not in a college or high school setting, you can click the supporters tab, and you can join our prayer team. You can join our church captains team. You can just sign up for our emails to stay updated with what's happening on campuses across the country, what's happening in Washington, D.C., where we're located. We'd love to get as many folks as possible involved, joining us and being part of the Students for Life team.
Well, as you're sharing, I'm thinking to myself, we are in a day and time unprecedented for the challenges that we face, but how wonderful it is that God has raised up all of these beautiful apostolic works and organizations to be that sign of hope, to be that sign of light, to be that sign of life that's taking place. And you're certainly doing an excellent, excellent job. I, once again, want to promote your book, Courageous. It's out there for you, friends. You can get it anywhere. Now, are you working on a new book?
There's been talks of a new book. I just have to stop traveling for a few months to get it done.
I understand completely. It's hard to do two things at one time when you're in two different places, but you do so much so well, Kristan, and you are a light shining in the darkness, and I'm absolutely delighted that you were able to be our guest today, and I know you're going to have a great time with Jim and Joy later. They're just absolutely wonderful people, and they do a great job, and I know our viewers, our EWTN viewers, are going to be so happy to see you. So thanks for everything that you're doing. Thank you for everything that you've done.
Thank you
and
so
we
much.
Wish you well. I'm putting you in my rosary, and I want to encourage all of you to pray for Kristan Hawkins and the great work that Students for Life do. These are our future leaders. Let's make sure that we're supporting work that's leading them in the right direction. Thank you, darling. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much, Johnnette. I appreciate it. God bless.
You're welcome. You're welcome, and God bless you. Friends, it's always great to be with you. Want to send you off now to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie, and it's I've Walked in Your Shoes. That's the topic today. Get out to our website, womenofgrace.com. Bye-bye now.